speaking about Todd. Todd, Peter Ralyea.
Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, guests. Rightfully said, Martin Luther King, during his famous speech, "My children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." What does that have to do with Todd Eggert? Todd Eggert was looked at through stereotype and not through the content of his character. I met Todd as a freshman at St. John Fisher College. We had the same major. We took a lot of classes together. We studied together. He always got better grades. In our sophomore year, we ended up living together as roommates. College kids always need cash, and I was no different way back when. Beer was cheaper, but it was still costly. I made my money by reading Todd's textbooks into a tape recorder. Why? Todd was blind. He lost his eyes to cancer when he was 6 years old. Todd was a big guy, 6'4", 6'5", went 300 pounds or plus sometimes. And we were an odd couple walking around campus, me leading him with him gently holding my elbow. When I look and see a man or a woman who's visually impaired now, I can still feel that touch that he had on my elbow. Todd was not about things helping him. He was about doing things. We've heard lots of inspirational stories lately about runners using fibercarbon legs, people on Dancing with the Stars dancing with prosthetics. Todd was not about overcoming a disability. He was not about taking a disability and making it an ability. He was about using his God-given talents to the best of his ability every single day. Does a carpenter use a saw or a hammer because of a disability? No. They're tools. Todd used every tool, every gizmo that was developed for the visually impaired. He even used his college roommate as a seeing eye dog. He was about doing his best. When he was in his 50s, what he did was some woodworking. He used power tools, he used hammers, scissors, sandpaper, and he still had his 10 fingers left. He did some very, very nice work. His day job was that of an executive director for not-for-profit agencies. He was responsible for 40 to 50 employees in budgets in excess of $10 million. I would say he was a very successful person. There was only once in the 40-plus years that we knew each other where he said anything about his self-worth. He questioned it. The question he asked, I remember it vividly. He said, "Peter, am I grotesque?" When he lost his sight, his eye sockets were nothing but cavities from all the radiation treatment and the surgeries. That question stunned me. And I don't know what my answer was. He wasn't looking for pity. He was just looking for an honest answer from a trusted friend. We both knew he wasn't good looking. But it doesn't matter. What matters was his character. That's what it refers to the Martin Luther King quote. Shortly after we were assuming both married, we went to Boston, and he and his wife Donna showed Bonnie and I Boston through their eyes. There was something unique about Boston at the time, may still be true, is that the handicapped rode transportation for free. So Bonnie and I donned sunglasses, and the four of us and two dogs traveled Boston. They knew all the stops. They knew where they were going. One place we went was a rather large flea market in Boston. And Todd and all of us would go from table to table, and Todd would ask the vendor, what do you have on the table? And he would say what he had, and if there was something that interested Todd, he would hold out his big hand. Well, immediately, because we no longer had our sunglasses, the vendor would look at Bonnie and I, and we'd just stand there, not react, until Todd got to look at what he wanted to see. He bought a clock that day, if I remember, a mantle clock, because he loved clocks. When we were on the buses, we would sit typically facing the aisles. And we'd have Bonnie and I would have our sunglasses on. And the thing that really bothered us was to watch the sighted world go by. And the disdain that we saw. And the fear. People would literally walk on the other side of the bus. Narrow aisle, but they'd still get away from us. When we went home that evening, we talked about it. And Todd and Donna said, we see that every day. They just shrugged it off. Todd said, it's not worth the effort, because it'll take things away from what I want to do. They didn't know my trusted friends and my partner in crime through college, anything about his character, let alone his intellect. And yet it was the stereotypes that they saw. I really hope that I can honor Todd's life by not looking at people and thinking stereotypically, but looking for the character that's inside them that's not necessarily relevant and obvious. And my challenge to you is to try to do the same thing. Madam Council Chair.